Hello and welcome. Today I thought we'd go and have a look at what is growing in the garden at this time of year, because it has got to be the wettest and coldest June and July I've ever had living in this side of the country. So I'd be interested to see what's growing in the garden. So let's go and have a look. So this is the view from my back door. So I thought here was a good place to start. I've got 3 French climbing beans in here, which I haven't got round to putting up a trellis yet. I was hoping there would be more, but that's all that came through. I've got some hostas here and some weed, of course, some weeds rather, not weed, growing here. And then these are 2 empty tubs waiting to have carrots put in them. And then if I come over to where the rose bush is, I gave this a drastic prune this year, but it has come back strong. And the blackberries that are growing against the wall are beginning to ripen up now. They're a thornless blackberry, so they're absolutely fantastic. In this bed, I've got sprouts. You can see the 2 tiddlers that are a bit behind the other 4. But the other 4 aren't doing that good either. But I've taken the garlic out of here and replaced it with the leeks. I know leeks are following garlic, but it should be okay. We haven't, touch wood, got any white rot. So I think these sprouts were slightly shaded out by the garlic, but hopefully they'll recover now. And also down the side here, I sowed some carrots, but there's no sign of any carrot seed there. And I've just spotted a white butterfly, which is why I'm not opening up the cages for you to have a better look. So sorry about that. In here I've got Heinz tomatoes at the front, Shirley tomatoes at the back. I need to take this cover off and I'll be using it for the sprouts. And then down here are some beetroot. I planted beetroot there. And then the other side, I planted lettuce all up here and down the middle, but the ones down the middle have obviously all been eaten, which actually happened to the last lot of lettuce I planted in here as well. On to my dwarf Belotti beans here. They look like they're doing well. I'll be taking this cover off soon. Oh, I was just going to show you the cabbage white, but he's flown off now. And then back here, I've got sweet corn, which I can't remember, I think it's early bird. I bought it from the garden centre because the 3 sweet corn that were growing in here, you can see there 1, 2, and there's one in the corner, were tiny, and the others didn't come up. So I thought, well, I better plant some more. And then in this tub here are some carrots. I think these are multicoloured carrots, and they look like they're doing well. I think we might have some carrots from here. And again, these tubs have got weeds in them, which I need to take out the weeds and sow some more carrots. And here's another hosta that's beginning to flower. And then my herb bed here, oh, these are 3 sort of alpine strawberries that I was growing in my click and grow unit inside, and I put them outside and they've obviously perished now. But I've got chives here, and then the lovage, which is going to seed, which it always does about this time of year. But that's all fine. I just take the lovage as and when I want it, which isn't very often because it's quite strong. And I did have parsley growing in here, but I need to sow some more. And then if you come over to these potatoes, these are Desiree here, and then Maris Piper there. Oh no, they're Cara there. They're Cara, and these are Desiree. And then before I forget, let's go over to this bed, because I always forget this bed. It's got onions and lettuce growing in it, and they are doing well by the look of them. I won't take the sheet off in case there's any allium leaf minor going around, but it looks like they're doing well. I'm pleased with that. Oh, I'm afraid this is why we have no summer this year. I put the paddling pool up for my daughter, and since I put the paddling pool up, it's done nothing but rain. We had one really nice day, the paddling pool went up. The next day, rain, ever since rain. So I'm very sorry everybody about that everybody's having rain in this country. Maybe I should put the paddling pool down and then maybe the weather will get good again. What do you reckon? Anyway, let's get back on with the tour. Right, come back over to this bed now. I've got 2 lovely golden acre cabbages in here and they are ready for harvesting. I've also got lettuce which I'm using as cut and come again around here. And then in this little gap there are some spring onions growing. And then here I've got my meteor peas which are ready for harvest. Well, some of them are ready for harvesting and some of them are not. I would take these tops off, but because I've just seen a cabbage white, I'll leave them off if that is okay with you. And then along here, these are my Kent blue peas, which are kind of like a Mange 2 style, which I had off the lovely Bill and Val a couple of seasons ago, and these are from my saved seed. And they've done really well, so I'm very pleased with them. And then if I just come between those, I've got some fennel, but this fennel has bolted, and I'm not sure about it. Yeah, that one is bolted too, but the one next to it, that looks like it's hanging on in there, so I'll take the bolted ones out and they can go in the compost. And I don't think I'm going to bother with fennel in the future. It always bolts for me, any variety I've used, and sowing at different times of the year as well just don't seem to work for me. So we don't eat that much fennel anyway, so I think from now on, no to fennel. But enough about the fennel. There's another cabbage in here. It's not as big as the other ones, and it's got some little gem lettuces that are going to seed, sadly. I think it's all this rain, I think, has just made them bolt. But my chickens will enjoy them. And then got a tiny little cabbage there that was planted the same time as that one, but it's clearly not thriving as well. And then in the middle here I've got radish, and then there's beetroot here, and that's going strong, but not as strong as the beetroot here. But this was planted a lot earlier than that one I just showed you. So the beetroot in this bed is doing really well. It's been multi-sown, but some of these I've harvested, so that's why some are so low, because I've already taken them. But I'm really pleased with how this beetroot is looking. And then here I got some sugar snap peas. I think it's Oregon sugar pod, and they look like they're about to put out some peas, so that will be great. Then coming back to the blackberries, but I've already shown you these blackberries, but I thought I'd show you the apple tree. So there's some apples there, which is good. This will be hopefully they will bulk up a bit more, and it'll be the first harvest we'll have had from this tree. I don't know if you remember, if you watched me last year, this is a grafted tree, and I actually cut this off there because it looked like it had fire blight, and then I let this branch grow on as the new leader, so to speak. But there's nothing on there, which I wouldn't expect it to have. So we'll just have to see how that is doing. Down here, that's another blackberry, a different kind of blackberry. I can't remember what variety that is. And look, I've been working in the front garden, hammering in some posts to support the asparagus. and I look like I've got fake tan because my posts were rusty, but I'll show you that in a minute. Here, this is sort of like a nothing bed really. It has a sedum in it that I was hoping was good for attracting the pollinators. And then again, we have another variety of blackberry here, but I think I'm going to take this variety out because it's running there and it's running here, and that's originally where I planted it, and I don't want it to be running all over the place like that. So I think I'm going to take this out, and hopefully I'll lay at the end of one of these and I'll get a new blackberry plant from this one. This one is a thornless one and it's absolutely great for harvesting. You don't get any problems whatsoever. This one is a thorned one and is running everywhere. So I think it was sold to me as like it would do well in a pot, but I disagree. I don't think it's doing well at all. Well, it is doing well, but it's not like as good as the other one that's thornless. Now here is my plum tree, one of my plum trees I should say, and there's not a single plum on here. Back about April time, all these leaves went black. Okay, you can see there that it did have plums, but they all went black like this. Now the leaves have come back, but obviously it's too late to grow plums on. And again, this is a grafted one, so it's two varieties on the one. This side has never done very well at all. This side is better. I would not recommend getting grafted trees. I thought they would be great because you could get two varieties on the one plant, but they haven't really worked. They just don't fruit very well. One side fruits okay and the other one doesn't, but I've hardly had a harvest off any of my grafted trees, and I've got a pear tree, an apple tree, a plum tree and a cherry tree, and none of them have done very well. So if you're thinking of getting a grafted duo tree, I would say no, don't. Get a different one. And then in this bed, which looks like a little bit of a mess because I haven't got in there and weeded, I've got some Celtis or Celtis, whichever way you want to say it, lettuce interplanted between the purple sprout and broccoli. So every now and again you can see some purple sprout in broccoli, and over there I don't know what's happened in this area, but there's no lettuce or purple sprout and broccoli growing over there, so I do have spares that I need to plant in there. And then the next bed, this is my leek bed, which so far seems to be doing well. The leeks are growing and I've interplanted them with lettuce, and once the lettuce comes out I'll just leave the leeks to grow on by themselves, I think. But so far hopefully there won't be any allium leaf miner. And then this next bed here is ready for harvesting the rest of the broad beans. I've been leaving them to dry so I could save the beans for next year, but I think it is time now to harvest them because I've got Swedes that I want to put in this bed. So yes, I'm going to harvest these. I will probably put them on a tray then and leave them in my mini greenhouse around the front to dry for for like a week or so, and then pop them into a glass jar. This lupin has self-seeded itself and is going really strong because I cut it back once as it was really badly infected with aphids, and it just grew more of these lovely lupin flowers. Now it is admittedly in the way a bit, but it self-seeded itself, and of course it's doing much better than anything that I put in a deliberate place like this one here, which I've deliberately put in, is not doing anywhere near as good. And here's some more fennel in this small bed here, and some borage. This borage as well has self-seeded itself, but I tend to leave the borage in if I can because It's such a good pollinator, and it looks pretty. I like the colour. And there's even a little bee there just to emphasise that it is a good pollinator. But yes, this fennel needs to come out. I'll probably pop some lettuce in there. In this bed here, oh, these shallots have been a bit of a disaster, really. Let me open this up. So yeah, these need to come out, but they've not been very well. They didn't look very well when I bought them in the packet, and they haven't done very well either, but we might be able to get a few feeds out of them. And then similarly, the carrots haven't done great. I mean, there's some, I have to hold this up now with my head. There are some there that probably are ready for picking, and then there's others that I planted a bit later when nothing was coming up. So that's that bed. In this next bed along, I've got some celeriac, which is interplanted with shallots. Again, the shallots are really poor. I think they just got shaded out when I had the cauliflowers in this bed. So in hindsight, what I should have done is planted the celeriac and the shallots in a different bed when I saw that the cauliflowers were taking longer than they normally do, but I didn't, and I've never had success with cauliflowers before, so I'm glad I kept them in. But it might have been to the detriment of my celeriac and shallots. But you live and learn, don't you? So let's move on to the next bed. In amongst the weeds, we have some parsnips in this bed. I am very sorry about the weeds around my garden at the moment. It's just that the weather has not been very good for me to weed, but everybody's on that issue, aren't they? Here's some Elsa Craig onions. I've left these uncovered to see if they get allium leek minor, and by the look of them, I don't want to speak too soon, but obviously I am, they look like they're doing well. So maybe allium leek minor attacks garlic and leeks more than it attacks onions, possibly. But let's see what we get when I harvest those onions, eh? Let's not count our onions before they're picked. Let's move on. These two beds don't really have much in them at the moment because I was leaving them for my children because they wanted a patch in the garden, but they are showing no inclination whatsoever. And now I can just see that my cat is using this as a toilet and not even bothering to cover it over. But I have, however, planted a cup and saucer plant there, and there is one struggling there, and there is one growing up there, and there was one in the corner, but that's gone. So I'll be using this for something, just not sure what. And then if we come up to the apple tree that's over the chicken coop, it's laden with apples this year. Last year we hardly had any whatsoever, and this year is absolutely abundant with them. But trees are like that, aren't they? One year you'll have a great harvest from a tree, and then the next year it won't have so many on it. That's been my experience with apple trees and other trees as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some apples off them. But they do often get infected with bugs, that's the only thing. But maybe we'll have one or two off there. The flower bed is doing well here. It's got some dahlias coming through, some foxgloves that are just, you know, hanging on in there. This elderberry tree, which I never got around to moving, is now going really strong, and I am thinking I might just leave it in there now. I was going to take it out because the berries are poisonous on this elderflower tree, but I might leave it in now. My children won't eat the berries, they're not that bothered, so it should be safe to leave in. And then up here there are some more lovely dahlias, really pleased with them. And then this is not such a great experiment, shall we say? Well, not experiment as such, but I had some sweet peas that have, well, more or less disappeared, in all honesty. I used compost from my compost heap, and you can see that all this seedlings have grown through it. There is one morning glory plant that's growing up well there, so we'll just have to wait and see. Hello chickens, you come to see us? Now they say, we just want the food. And then I've left this fennel because it was growing over the winter, and I left it in to collect seed, but it seems to be taking forever to actually produce this seed. So yeah, I'm not really very happy about that. But in theory, I should have enough fennel seed to last me for quite some time. And I want it for cooking, you know, when you like pickle things, rather than for growing any more fennel, as we discussed earlier. More spare onions in here. They're not growing as big as the other bed. That's because this bed is quite shallow, and I put like a hugel culture in the bottom of it, so I don't think there's that much compost for the onion roots to get down, but it'll be all right for now. And then this is my other plum tree, which we have got some plums and they are ripening, which is really good. They're a decent size, so hopefully we'll get something off here this year, because last year we didn't have one plum on here, which is why I was talking earlier about not trees being biannual as opposed to producing annually. Oh, these are, well, they're not spare strawberry plants, they're second year runners that I really need to pot into bigger pots and put around the front, but I just haven't got around to doing it. And then messy corner is still messy corner. I still haven't sorted out my compost heaps. This is a new system for me this year. It's a tray to grow from auto pots, and essentially it's sort of like a self-watering tray. So I've plugged it up to this water butt, and it's not on at the moment because I've only recently done this. And you let enough water go into these two containers here, which goes into here. You can see it's got water in there at the moment because it's just constantly raining here, and hopefully it should produce some really nice tomatoes. And these tomatoes, bless them, have been in the greenhouse for ages. They were desperate to get out, and they are looking so much better for being out. Even if it's colder than they were in there, they just look better already. If I come around to my cold frame, I've got the dahlias and variety of bulbs that I was sent from bulbs.co.uk for this summer. I need to pot these into bigger pots. They will eventually go into a final position in the garden. I just haven't worked out where that's going to be. So I've just decided that I will put them into bigger pots for this year, and hopefully they'll grow on fine and produce a display in the garden, and next year then I can plant them out. In this tub here I've got two butternut squash plants which look like they're doing okay. They were small in the greenhouse, and I thought, are they too small to plant out? But I thought I'd give them a go, because sometimes things just get better when you've planted them out. And it's a similar case for this crown prince squash here, and this bambino squash here. And then along here are what are they, mammoth gold pumpkins. And this one has got a fruit on it. So yeah, those are getting going now. Similarly, I had this pot of borage that is self-seeded itself, and underneath them are two more butternut squash plants, which are hopefully doing okay. And then in my compost heap here, This compost heap has manure in it. I've got my yellow courgette plants, which are just beginning to get away. And then if we come around to here, I've got this frame which has absolutely nothing apart from weeds growing in it because I haven't planted any beans here yet. I just haven't got around to it. I have planted out my sunflowers, and hopefully they will grow. They are looking like the stems are getting thicker, so hopefully they will. Got runner beans here, self-sown nasturtiums there, beetroot in that clump that needs weeding. Got another sunflower there, and another sunflower here, and then these are tomato plants which I need to sort of string up really and side shoot, because I haven't really done much with them since they've gone in, because I just wanted to let them establish themselves and grow before I fussed around with them, and now I think they're probably advanced enough that I can faff around with them. Got some radish in here. Got a stripy courgette plant here, which looks like it's just beginning to put out its first few fruit. This one went in a bit earlier than ones in the compost heap, which is why it's a bit more advanced. More radish here, and then these are my gherkins all along here. You can see those three I planted out earlier, probably about 2 weeks earlier than these 5 here, and you can see the difference, that those must have just gone in at the right time, because sometimes you can just plant things at the right time and they'll thrive. You plant things 2 weeks later and they sort of sit a bit and sulk. Coming over to my taberry and rhubarb bed. This rhubarb went in this year. It was from ones from around the front, and the lupins here were good as well, as were the foxgloves, which were given a lovely display, but they went over, so I cut them all out then, which gave me more access to get my taberries. And we've had a good harvest of these. Not as good as last year, mind. I think the weather again has something to do with it, but still not bad. Not bad. And then there's nothing growing in there at the moment apart from bolted coriander. Oh, and there are some basil plants actually, which I can plant in here. And then these are my, well, some of my tomato plants. They are doing well. This one in the front is Brandywine, and then at the back this one is Shirley. And if I just bring you down there, you can see that where that missing bit is, the leader broke, so I allowed the other bit to grow up, and that's become the leader. So that's why there's not many flowers on here or trusses setting at the moment. Then this is called a steak sandwich, and this one is a steak sandwich as well. And then down here are my aubergines in pots, which are looking okay, I think. And then don't look, my pitiful little peppers, they're not really getting away, but actually they have put on a lot more of this new foliage, so hopefully they will get away now. I mean, they didn't have any of this foliage down here when I put them in here, so yeah, I think I'll take this one off, I think, because that might be hindering them putting out fresh fruit. I might do that with all the ones that have got fruit on. We can just have some green ones. And then over here, these are Tigerilla. They look like they're doing well. There's some trusses down here. Hopefully we'll get some tomatoes soon. And then, I do not know why, because these ones look so much smaller than the ones that are growing in the pots, but these two have aubergines growing on them. Now these other two don't, but they might have something soon. Sorry, my camera went a bit funny then. So we've got many different tomato plants here. I think there's only two that are the same variety in this lot. And then there's some marigolds and some basil. Basil's doing well. And in this corner, these are burlesque. So they look like they're recovering a bit because everything was late going into place. And then there's the Swede seedlings, or plants now I suppose. And then Cavolo Nero kale, red kale, and some Celtis. We'll just go round to the front garden now, and don't worry, the front garden isn't as chock-a-block as the back garden, so we should be quicker here. So I've got pots down here which are waiting to be planted up with carrots or whatever really I want to put in here. And I have got some, these are the round ones, Paris Market carrots. And they look like they're ready actually. Well, I mean they could grow a bit bigger, but they do look like the majority of them are ready. So that's encouraging. And then down here, just got some marigolds around the base of the pear tree. But the pears are not looking that great. They're looking quite brown. I think it's the weather. Like this has just suddenly happened. These brown leaves, and this is what the plum tree looked like that I was talking about earlier. So I think it's the cold. Harvested my onions from here. I'm waiting to just replant up these pots. Strawberry plants probably coming to an end now. There's one or two strawberries still on them, but the majority of these are early. That variety is Sweetheart. This variety is El Santa. And this variety is El Santa, and they tend to be early. And the mint in the middle is doing quite well. I was hoping that was gonna keep off the vine weevil, but I don't think it has. Down here, got a pot of oregano that came back from last year. And then in my mini greenhouse, I've got this auto pot system set up. And it's got some of my peppers growing, but these have only been in here for 4 days. I think I planted these up 4 days ago. So so far the jury's out. I haven't switched on the auto pot system yet. You're meant to water them in for like a week to leave the roots to grow down, and then you set up, then you put the tap on and it fills up the reservoirs at the bottom. Here are some more seedlings. We've got some red cabbage there, some kale there, red cabbage at the back, broccoli, 3 cauliflower, and then there are the spare purple sprouting plants and the spare sprout plants. And then at the top here, these are the onions that I harvested in the last video, and then the garlic, it's just dry in there. And here are some Minnesota midget melons that are waiting to go out, and some basil that I need to separate and grow on. And then here are more garlic that are just drying. I've just put them through the slats so they would dry. And I do the same with the onions when the onions are ready, if I've got room in here to do that. If we go up to my next cold frame, which I built myself, but I think I might get rid of because it doesn't really work all that well. I've got my chilies in these 2 big pots here. And then melons in those back pots. And again, this is another auto pot system. So once these have been in for a week, I'll turn that system on and it'll water the plants whenever the valve tells it to, essentially. It sort of like self-waters itself. And then again, got marigolds in here because the pears are not looking all that great. Although they're not looking too bad either, but there's still this browning on there. But we might get 1 or 2 pears off here. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. These poppies self-seeded themselves and they were a lovely red colour, but I'm going to take them out and save some seed from there. And then next to the poppies are my blueberry plants. And these are doing well. Well, these 2 are doing well. And then these 2 have already had their harvest. They didn't produce very much, but we did get a small harvest off this one. We didn't get anything off that one. But maybe it's growing slowly, who knows. And then the raspberries, I eventually got around to stringing them up, and they are beginning to give us some raspberries. Waiting for fruit there, but then on the lower ones there are raspberries ready, so that's very good. And then my veg trug at the top here is not looking as good as it did last year. These are tumbling toms, I think, and they look like they're going to give us a good amount of tomatoes. Parsley there, more tomatoes. And then these were the ones that they overwintered and I left them in, but I should have taken them out and planted fresh ones because they're sort of quite long and the stems look a bit dead, so it's not really giving the effect that I wanted to. Like this one here, it doesn't really look all that great, even though it's still producing fresh flowers, so I might take them out. And then occasionally I've interplanted some spring onions here, so hopefully eventually we'll get some tomatoes from here and some parsley. And then these are pansies that I sowed myself, and I did plant some runner beans in here that were plants, but they look like they've died, so I'll just leave them as pansies now. Lots of weeding needed in my driveway, especially here. Looks awfully messy. And then this is a cherry tree that doesn't look very healthy at all. I'm not quite sure what's going on with this, but it doesn't look great, does it? And this is one of those grafted ones I was telling you about. So yes, that's why everything's interplanted with some flowers this year, so at least we get a bit of colour. And then these cauliflowers look like they're doing okay around the front. Got a little bit of a heart come. Well, wow, didn't realise they were so advanced. Oh, well, that's good. And back there are some pansies and some antirrhinum in the middle. And then nasturtiums and pansies, and one of my apple trees. I do need to thin these out. I was thinking there was going to be a June drop, but they don't seem to have dropped much, so I'll thin out some and hopefully we'll get an apple from here this year. My Acer tree, that's doing well. I thought that had died, but it seems to have made a remarkable recovery. Nice weed growing here, which is growing better than my celeriac in here. But I've got celeriac and spring onions there. A dahlia trying to grow there, and some antirrhinum there. I thinned out my grapevine, believe it or not, down to a certain point. I didn't get to finish it. So there are some grapes growing. So we'll see what we get this year. And then this is another cherry bush. This is called pothos. And we didn't have any cherries on it this year, but it's looking so much better than that one with the brown leaves up there. So, yes. What to say, isn't it? Right, anyway, back to the dahlias here. Some cabbages here. These look like they're becoming ready as well. Yep, I think that probably is ready. And then at the back are some antirrhinum, some alyssum that Ali sent me from my rusty garden. And then more calendula, nasturtiums, and another apple tree. Again, I probably will thin this out a bit just to leave two like that one, rather than it struggle to try and ripen all four. And then down here are my potatoes. There are 4 swift potatoes and 1 shallot pot at the end, and I'm gonna save the shallot pot for seed for next year, and I'm going to do that with 2 of these pots as well, rather than do what I did other years, which was to harvest the seed and save the seed, and then the seed put out loads of thin little shoots, which were not really very good. So this year I'm going to try to keep the potatoes in the pots and see if that works better for me. And then just up from the pots, this is the area I need to sort out. I need to take out all the foxglove stems and finish up sorting out this grapevine. I got a rose bush there that I moved in the winter, so it's not doing too much, but I think it's still okay. On this plant, which is a jostaberry, it is ready for me to harvest. Some of them have gone over already. It's just that the weather has been too bad for me to get out and harvest. Over here are some gooseberries. I need to get in there and harvest the gooseberries. I haven't harvested any gooseberries yet, and I can do a good old weed while I'm at it. And then if we come round to here, this is a black currant. I think I've had most of the black currants off here. There's 1 or 2 there. This one, there's more left on this one because it wasn't quite so ripe when I harvested it the last time I did a big harvest. And then my red currants, they've all been harvested more or less. So this bed is all looking terrible, really, considering it's in my front garden and everybody passes it as soon as they come in. But it might look really overgrown, but it does just need me to take out the foxgloves and some of the weeds, and then it'll be fine. We've decided we're going to put a water feature in here, not quite sure yet, and it's all very expensive, so when that happens I don't know. The rhubarb over here is looking good, and then up here we have more gooseberries which are ready, and then the red ones that are over here. Are probably ready for harvesting as well. The hanging baskets outside the front door are still green, which is amazing. I've managed to keep them alive. We didn't get too many strawberries from them, but they are first year plants, so that's probably why. I moved my Cape gooseberries from inside the mini greenhouse to here, and we've had a couple off there. And as these were sort of bonus plants, if you like, because they self-seeded themselves in here last year, and I took them out about October time and just kept them going in the mini greenhouse down the bottom there. So they've not done badly at all, really. I'm quite pleased with them. And then at the front here we've got some cucumbers, Beth Alpha, and at the back are some butternut squash, but they like the small ones, so they don't grow very big. Got the perpetual onions there, can't remember what they call them now. I think they're Welsh onions, aren't they? I should know that, shouldn't I? And then these are field beans, which similarly to my broad beans, I've just been leaving to dry, and they're probably ready now. They can come out, and some of those brassicas can go in there. And then if we come to the big bed at the front, I harvested some of the potatoes, so I've got 4 Savoy cabbage in here. Then the rest of the potatoes need to be harvested down there. I've got the asparagus growing here. I've just tied them up, that's what I was talking about with my rusty hand earlier. And then my onions, they look like they're doing well along here. However, I have got some that I'm a bit concerned about. These ones, they are looking a different colour to the other ones, so I'm wondering if they've got white rot, because I did have a couple with white rot last year, so maybe that's the area where the white rot is. But the rest of them don't look that colour. The rest of them look okay, so I'm hoping that interplanting the mint and the marigolds have done the job. So look at that one, it's a whopper. Yeah, so here's the mint, and the marigolds calendula sort of self-seeded itself really, and I just left it because it was pretty, and I thought it might detract from the allium leaf miner finding the onions. Well, that is it from me for today. I hope you appreciate me doing this in the rain. I'm now soaking wet, but I'm going in. And all I can say about the plot tour is lovely job. Take care, everyone.